Besides the obvious, why should you and I go to confession? Well, one answer is we never know when God will have an awesome surprise for us. And I experienced that yesterday when I went to confession, and it was great. So, hi everybody, this is Matt. Thanks for watching, and welcome back to the Conversion for Rome. I'm your Catholic evangelist, Matt, and I want to tell you about a fantastic experience that I had yesterday when I went to confession. And in telling and giving my testimony about my life and my conversion from being a Protestant to a Catholic, quite often I share the individual who I think was the most responsible as a person for planting a seed in my heart and in my soul that God used to eventually get me to become a Catholic. And when I tell the story, people say, well, have you talked to him or anything else? I'm like, I don't even know if he's alive. Well, guess what? I know he's alive now. And the reason is I saw him yesterday at confession. So let me give you the quick cliff notes on this. Decades ago, I was looking for a part-time job, and I happened to have a commercial radio operator's license from the FCC. And it just so happened that a local Christian radio station that was kind of out in the boonies on a farm needed somebody on Saturday nights to come do tower readings, do phase relationship computations, look at the tubes and the whole 9 yards. And so I'm like, hey, it's a paying gig, I'll go ahead and I'll do that. And by the same token, eventually it turned out that they needed somebody to cover a little bit of airtime for them. And then the station owner / general manager found out that I was a preacher, and he gave me time on the microphone to do a live talk show and pray for people live and do some really cool stuff. Thing was, I never met him until one night. On one evening, his office was lit up and he was there. And he introduced himself to me. I went into his office, and immediately I started noticing some things, because this was a Christian radio station. It played gospel music, it played the old-fashioned hymns, it had all the paying preachers on there. And I'm looking and I see a crucifix, I see a rosary and all that. I also see some military memorabilia, and I'm looking at it and I'm like, whoa, this guy's Catholic? And so, me being me and being curious and wanting to know about people and their faith and their experiences in life, I just looked at him and I'm like, hey, I got a couple of questions for you. And he's like, hey, go right ahead, that's fine. Like, how'd a guy like you become Catholic? And how are you running a Christian radio station? And he looked at me, he grinned, and he told me a story. And the story that he told was when they were on base, him and his wife got involved going to classes. Then they started going to Mass. Well, now I understand those classes as being RCIA, the RCIA program, and things like that. And I was just flummoxed. I'm like, wow, this is cool. I never heard of that before, but I'm confused. You did this, but you have a Christian radio station and everything. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, so what does the Catholic faith do for you? How is that different than being a Protestant? What changes has it made in your life and all this? He freely shared it with me. And the thing was, that was the only time that we met face to face. But it planted a seed. It planted a seed right here in my heart, in my soul. And not too long after that, just because of other obligations, I left working for them. But the seed that was planted never disappeared. And I believe that that is one fundamental reason why I stand before you today as a Catholic. And the thing is, when I was at confession yesterday, I'm looking across the aisle and I see this gentleman. And I keep looking at him. I'm like, no, no. And when he went to get up out of the pew and we made eye contact, he looked at me and it was like, no. I got up, we came together, shook hands, and he's like, I know you, but I can't remember your name. And I'm like, yes, it's you. And I'm like, Matt, blah, blah, blah. This is where we first met. And he went to confession, I went to confession. We met outside and were able to spend about 10, 15 minutes together and just share experiences. And I thanked him profusely for his witness. And his wife was there, and she was extremely gracious. And I tell you what, I'm so grateful to God that I was able to meet him and I was able to thank him, because it turned out that they went to the wrong church for confession. And so they were about ready to leave when I walked in, and I'm like, man, God does not do anything by accident. So I am thankful and I'm grateful to God that he allowed me to meet that man who's taking a few minutes with me eventually changed my life. And the good news is, the great news is, we're going to be able to get together, God willing, once again in the near future when we can sit down and speak at length about it. So I'm so grateful to God. And the end story of all this is, as we walk this journey of life, there are so many things that are not accidents that God just simply puts in our lives that makes a change in you and in me. We never know when we are going to be able to experience that. So I'm just saying thank you to God. And I want to encourage each and every one of you who are Catholic, go to confession. Take part in all the sacraments. They're there for a reason, and they're a blessing to us. For those of you who are Protestants and you have questions about being Catholic and things like that, feel free to comment. Ask me questions, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. Because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. As Christians, living for Jesus Christ, being a witness for him is important. In today's day and age, there's a whole lot of negativity going on in the world. Our Lord never promised that life would be easy, but going through everything together and knowing that you're not alone is important. So, there you have it. Wanted to give you an encouraging word of an extra side benefit to going to confession. And so, until next time, God bless each and every one of you. Have a good one and take care.